Hello, this is Grace talking, also known as Grey Fable. You are listening to the third episode of Arkenmore, D&D Noir. In this podcast, I run my friends through my Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition Noir-themed setting called Arkenmore. Atop the bones of the monster continent of Arkenmore, once the exclusive realm of heroes and adventurers, a new society has been erected. Fueled by changing technology and powerful economics, the city of New Empress stands as the crown jewel of the human empire. This golden era, however, has been tainted by rapid corruption and organized crime. Content warnings for this episode include police brutality, horror elements, and bigotry towards fantasy species. Now let's begin. Alright, welcome everybody. This is the third session of our Arkenmore campaign. So last session on Arkenmore and Morgato, the inmates at the facility known as Morgato were turned out into the recreations yard without their breakfast. Though tensions were high, the party characters seized this first opportunity to discuss the shared nightmare they experienced the previous night and what it might mean for their future. During these discussions, Callum spotted something strange in the distance. A shriveled white willow tree with green leaves growing off of a single jutted branch. It appeared to be nothing less than the white willow branch he had wielded as a druidic focus in the nightmare. Upon sharing this with the others, Carmen, who was not under the stringent supervision that the casters are made to undergo, agreed to fetch it for him. As Carmen successfully retrieved this branch, the inevitable fight broke out among the hungry inmates. The corrections officers, who would normally intervene immediately, seemed content to watch. During this chaos, Randall Hunt, the leader of the Blood Hunters, took advantage of this opportunity to settle a score with Koloth. Meanwhile, another member of the human supremacist gang saw Callum as an easy victim. It didn't take long for the entire party to be involved in the fight, during which one inmate was pummeled into unconsciousness by Gulam Creed, the leader of the Lorder Un, and Maya successfully stole a bolt baton from another officer and handed it to Koloth for defense. And while being chased, Callum took upon this opportunity to shapeshift into a spider and made his immediate escape, though not before receiving the white willow branch from Carmen. The aftermath of the fight was swift. An alarm was sounded as facility personnel began scrambling to find the escaped shapeshifter. Maya and Koloth, for their participation, were escorted into the isolation ward, otherwise known as the Pit, to spend the night in the cold and the dark. The rest of the inmates, that is, those not being sent to the clinic or to the isolation ward, were ushered inside to the cafeteria. Now, as the session begins, we pick up with, once again, a split party. Since it will determine what will happen next in the facility, I think that it's only fitting that we take the camera and pan it over to Dan's character, Callum, the escaped druid, to see how far and how successfully he is going to make his escape. Alright. Callum.
Yes.
You, in your spider form, skitter up the wall, easily finding with your tiny little feet little crevices, moving as you would on the ground. Well, not the fastest thing, fast enough to escape from the guard who tried to throw his baton at you to squish you before you could make your getaway. You're climbing up high into the rafters. And as you do so, you hear the alarm, the I don't know why I did that. I'll probably put in a sound effect later, but that's kind of what it sounds like.
Nice.
You feel the sea wind blowing at your small, tiny spider limbs. This is an ancient fortress. There are some buttresses, there are some places. You do see that these places where you could stand along the walls, they have people posted there. You're going to have to keep it going to find a place where you could be out of their sight, or else just hide in spider form. And this is if you want to transform back into something else. What do you do?
Yeah. Okay, so the immediate goal, essentially, is to try and find somewhere where he can hang out in spider form and potentially turn back into a halfling without, safely, without being at risk of being found out by guards. Like, if there's, an attic or, an old, any like kind of rooms that might have partially collapsed that aren't as accessible anymore, or any like kind of forgotten closets look like they haven't been opened in a long time, like something like that is kind of what he's hunting for right now. And also, hilariously, spiders actually have a 20-foot move speed, so they're really not that slow.
No, that's pretty fast.
Yeah,
That's
they
kind
get
of
after
scary
it.
to me, actually. I guess you're a jumping spider. Those things basically teleport.
Yeah, the guys that skitter real fast across the ground.
Yeah. Right.
And spider form can climb all difficult surfaces without needing to make any ability checks.
And I completely, wholeheartedly agree with that. So, to try to find a safe spot, I'll let you choose to either make a perception check to kind of look around or sense around your spidey senses for a place to hole up into, or an investigation check, which you study the structure of the facility to attempt to like kind of suss out where you might find a safe spot. I could argue for a history check too. If you were, trained, read about fortresses, you could probably use your history check to figure out where you could go that might be safe.
We are going to go with the tried and true perception check, because I retain my old stats for the most part in that regard when I am wild shaped. So, for the listeners, game statistics, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma all stay the same when you're wild shaped. So, let's go ahead and throw out a perception check, which I have a +3 to. That is an 11. +3 is 14.
All right, that is 14 is really not bad. So let me think. All right, I'm gonna pull up my facilities document to remind myself kind of what the structure loosely is.
I'm gonna do the same. I'll dump that
so
in
right
the
now,
chat.
you are coming from the recreations yard, which is the north side of the main facility, of the north side of the building. So your immediate the closest largest jutting structure to you that you notice, you recognize it because that's the North Tower. That's been your home for the last few months. That is where they keep the casters, and I know that you specifically do not want to go there, so you definitely avoid that.
Yeah, very much want to avoid anywhere that would have the nullification gas, because that will pop me right out of my wild shape form, which will then lead to me probably getting harmed physically very much.
All right. So with a 14, you're going to move past the North Tower. You're on the main building. You make your way up to the top floor there. There's about 3 stories worth on the main building. You find yourself in what you think is some sort of old, some weird sort of crawl space. You're not entirely sure what the residents who made this building were using it for, but it's very cramped and tunnel-like. But you reckon you're above the 3rd floor. You do.
So that would.
Yeah, you do sense some movement below you, but in your vicinity, you seem hidden.
Okay. So I'm on the 3rd floor of the main hall.
That's correct.
Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If I'm reading this right, this is not something that I would know in character. Is where the offices are. Okay. How much time would you say has passed since the fight in the yard at this point?
I reckon as a little spider to climb up to get to where you need to get to, it'd probably be, let's see, 20 feet running per second. I reckon it'd be about 20 minutes.
Okay, cool. So we've got a potential kind of hidey hole area. How did I get into this crawl space? Was there like a vent that I had to go through? Was there
Yes.
Okay, cool. Then what I'm gonna do. Well, it's interesting because like normally the move here would be to like go to the entrance to the vent and like start putting up webs to make it an unappetizing target for anybody to go into. But they know that I can turn into a spider, so that doesn't actually it's not actually a smart idea. But all right. So if I kind of creep back over to the entrance that I came in, what is there a lot of activity in this offices area that I've kind of like gotten off of? Or I probably came in from outside the building.
Yeah, you came in from outside.
Space. I'm gonna go looking for something that has visibility inside of the building, like a vent or something like that.
Alright, I'm gonna keep your perception kind of just rolling as this is your initial scout of the facility. As you're going to continue crawling through this crawl space area, and you find a hole that a person could not likely fit through, but it's kind of been barred off, but you can slip through as a spider. You look down into the hallways below. Now, before you came upon this hall, you did sense and hear movement, the thudding of feet as people were rapidly moving to the call of the alarm. But now it seems to mostly be vacated.
Interessante. If it's empty and operating off of the assumption that probably most of the facility staff are kind of going a little crazy trying to find me, I might want to try and scope out the offices a little bit and just kind of like get a feel for the lay of the land, like how many desks are here, if there are any offices, like note if there are any names on those offices that are probably locked down right now.
All right. Yeah, this will take up more of your time.
Sure.
So you can probably spend another 20 minutes or so as a spider running around the walls of the offices. Let me just roll a percentile check, just I guess to see what your luck is in terms of
totally.
If anyone comes back up here and crosses your path. All right. I probably would have gone for lower than that to be like, oh nope, you immediately hide. You seem to be safe at least for the moment. So
cool.
You can spend about 20 more minutes scouting the offices. So you do see a few. They're very kind of generic spaces for the most part. Some of them are even kind of cubicle-like. There is a space for, let's say, the person in charge of the armory, of the equipment. There's the person in charge of supplies. You do find the very notable bronze plaque with the name of the warden on it, Gareth Crumroll, very plainly engraved.
Interesting. Okay. Well, we're coming up on the last kind of block of time that I have. So, I'm not trying to risk anything while the facility is on high alert. So, with that last 20 minutes, I think that, well, actually, I do have more wild shapes and I get more back.
Of course, yeah.
Let's go check out the warden's office.
Alright, you slip underneath the door. There's a heavy oaken door. Definitely a much nicer kind of space than the rest of the facility, much better upkept. There's a large dark wood desk, well oiled. There's a very heady scent of cigar smoke in here.
Mm-hmm.
In the corner, there is a record player and a radio. At the desk, there is a small microphone, and there is a typewriter, and there's stacks of paper.
Okay. What's on his desk? Like, are there any reports that he was reading, or was he going through anything? when this lockdown kind of went into effect?
As you go to examine the paperwork, the one that seemed to be there's paper sticking out from the typewriter that's mostly finished, and it looked like it was. You get a cursory glance with your spider eyes, which are actually quite good. I've been led to believe by biologists that you read it. It looks like an update on the status of the facility's supplies, specifically about their food storages. And it is directed, weirdly enough, it is directed at, the addressee says, let's see, it says CP, abbreviation, Powers.
Let's see, facility. So that is Powers. Not seeing that person on the list of personnel. Inmate, maybe? No.
My understanding, Dan, is that is a character from other Arkenmore media that you may have
The
participated
fact
in.
that Dan isn't picking it up is what
Oh,
makes it really
yeah,
funny to me.
That is very funny. Wait, yeah, what,
Big Powers, not Young Powers.
yeah, that's, well, listen, that's my old man's name, okay? That's different. What does the report say? Is it as dire as he publicly stated?
It's an interesting check. I think that the wording is very, business. So for this, especially given your background, I think this warrants another check. I'd say an insight check using your intelligence. You are reading someone's report and trying to suss out what the words' hidden meanings are.
Okay. Let's see. Insight with intelligence means it will be a flat roll. So let's go ahead. Can I change the ability modifier?
Alright, so that's a 10 total.
That's a flat.
Alright,
Flat 10.
yeah, Callum, I mean, your background is very not of the city folk variety, so, but you're still educated, and you can read like the numbers and stuff and see kind of what he's listing on his report. The report does kind of does sound like makes a lot of appeals to the situation of the facility as being precarious. It's an intimation that they could be running out of food at any time, and there's numbers that you don't exactly parse that kind of giving like, this is the amount of food that we go through this week, this is the amount of food we're going to go through after we cut back one meal per week, and etc. And that maps out to you that it will last the next, I'd say they probably are good for next 3 weeks now that they've cut back on meals.
That is not a very long time for a prison full of people. Shit. What makes sense to check? Well, I probably can't get the drawers to his desk open. Might be time to beat let's see something. I don't suppose he's been silly and left any keys lying around or anything, has he?
None that you can see in the immediate vicinity. If they are around there, they're gonna be tucked in somewhere.
Yeah. Alright, let's get a little risky with it. How are the alarms still blaring at this point?
After the first 20 minutes or so of it, they've quieted.
All right. What about sounds like from the building? I have a passive perception of 13. Does it sound like people are kind of rifling maybe back into the offices or the main floors of this building?
At this point, it's been about 40, 45 minutes. At this point, I would say not right now.
All right, then I am, as a bonus action, going to turn. Well, how long would you think it would take to check, just like to look in on the armory from here?
The armory, you're gonna have to go down, down, down. If you
Oh, that's
know
right.
where
That's not on this floor.
where it is, which might take some investigation. Actually.
Yeah, I definitely don't know where that is. I thought that you had said there was an armory in here, and I completely misunderstood. That's okay. Yeah, I'm gonna.
There's what's the name of the person in charge of weapons again? I mean, their office is up here.
Like a quartermaster or something like that?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to bonus action shift back into a human, or a halfling, sorry. And I'm gonna do as much as I want to search his office, like going through the door, like the drawers in the desk, and like looking for anything that might be useful, kind of as quickly as I can, with the plan to kind of wild shape back into the spider, either as soon as I'm done, or as soon as I like hear anybody kind of coming up on me.
All right. You are going to be you shed the form of a spider. You're back again, free from that stifling null gas. Easily slip back into your halfling form. You still have your clothes, everything on you. Well, your prison uniform. You still have the branch. You're going to be rifling through these drawers. One of them is soundly locked. You do not see a key, but go ahead and make an investigation check as you're going through paperwork and stuff.
All right.
This will just be a regular investigation.
Just make sure that's something. Yeah. No. All right. Investigation.
Very good.
Nice. 17.
All right. Yeah, with a flat 17 on the die. You go through the paperwork, and you are going to uncover some interesting documents with that kind of rule. You find one folder that is labeled Prisoner 277466, and it's a fairly fat folder.
I believe that is the gentleman that hangs out on top of the anti-magic tower.
Yeah.
Okay.
There is a kind of there's a stamp on it in red that says sensitive material. You find various other documents, like all those in the facilities documents I gave you. You have all access to those, like kind of brief dossiers on all the prisoners as you're rifling through that. And you have you basically have all that information now, including the kind of a very loose map of the facility. Like, you find it. I don't know if you take it, but you do find it. But
go ahead.
Just as you find that, you hear the sounds of footsteps.
Okay. I'm going to. Callum is going to shove anything that looks like it might be useful into his pants, cast Pass Without Trace, and Wild Shape back into a spider.
And just as the door begins to open, we will pivot. Alright, so Druid Adventures, pause. going rather astutely well. We will pivot to the two inmates from our team, or maybe three if we count Detective Guilt, who have been winding back time, are being ushered back into the main facility just as the alarms are blaring. There's a lot of clatter, there's a lot of people pushing until the guards come in. They start knocking heads again. Anyone who steps out of line, they go, quiet, quiet, head count, as they start making sure that every single prisoner who, other than the ones that they know has escaped, and other than the ones that are being escorted to punishment or are being escorted or carried to the clinic, are accounted for. And this is going to take some time. It's not a small facility, as every person's identity is verified. And once that is finished, and the commotion begins to die down, the alarms begin to die down, you all are, and this is going to include Edward and Carmen, are the only two who will be in this group. You are going to be escorted back to the cafeteria.
Oh.
In spite of everything that has occurred, there was a promise that you would at least get a meal at some point today. And now, as you are finally being sent into the cafeteria, you do finally smell it. That sweet, salty, greasy scent of prison food awaiting you at the tables.
Question for you, Grace.
Yes.
The guards here, are they also, like, when we're lining up, when they're doing our counts, like, where are they doing that? Are the magic users also included in this communal area, or are they being herded to a separate location? And going off of that, are the magic guards also remaining in this area as they count?
It seems that, well, it's unusual. It seems that today the casters, it seems that they seem to be wanting to keep all of the prisoners consolidated, and they are also being ushered into the cafeteria. This very typical,
are they?
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh no, it's okay. It's very typical for the casters to be brought back to the cafeteria once per day around lunchtime to eat in the main area. For the rest of the time, they are sequestered, but right now it seems that they are just trying to keep everybody all together.
As they're doing the count,
Yeah.
as the guards themselves are moving back and forth, taking stock of people, these are guards that Carmen hasn't ever seen before. I would like to utilize my bonus action and the final channel divinity until we get a short rest to cast Divine Sense.
Really reaching to see if something's... You know what? That's fair.
We haven't seen these guards.
Yeah, that's fair. It's fair.
And we know that guards are the ones who are actually being readily changed out, readily turning over.
Mm-hmm.
And if she doesn't see anything, honestly, that makes it easier. But it doesn't look as though there is a vocal or somatic component for this. She's just going to crack her knuckles as the guards pass and roll her shoulders and look and see what she sees, if anything.
All right, Carmen, you call upon your training, call upon that sensation you had that first time when you were made to drink of the elixir. You open your eyes to the things that mortals are not meant to see. And as usual, you do see threads around you. Not unusual, you see connecting threads almost like rippling forms from behind a veil. But you do not sense anything that's crossed over. You do not sense. Let's see. What's the range on this again?
It's only 60 feet.
Yeah,
But I was hoping that with the guards moving back and forth doing counts, that was why she was planning to do it.
Yeah, among the guards moving back and forth, as far as you can tell, none of them are the outsider of the undead variety.
Good. Very good. These threads, you said they're common?
Yes, this is something very similar to. It was stronger the first time you did it, when you found
Indeed.
yourself, down below in the secret area. But you still see it, things moving, as if behind a thin veil. But you're looking for things that step out from beyond the veil.
And nothing has.
As far as you can tell, not in your vicinity.
Good. Then she's going to keep that up, even so, because we can keep it for 10 minutes. But once it fades, she's just going to relax her shoulders and focus upon food.
And while she's side-eyeing at all the guards, I'm keeping an eye on for a specific individual, Lester Locks. Is he among this arrangement?
Okay. So your grouping is a bit tighter, so it's not too difficult for you to make out Locks when he's brought back to you. Locks, he looks dazed. He has a lump on his head. He's kind of dazed and staggering, kind of like, oh. But he is in one piece. He's still like handcuffed. The guards are doing basically a pat down on every spellcaster, and they do his very briefly before they moving on to you. And of course, they don't find anything.
Of course, didn't do anything.
But yeah, so in the kerfuffle, maybe he was hit, maybe he just fell over. He seemed to have bumped his head.
How close is he to me?
He's merely 20 or so feet away.
20. I'm gonna make a point to stand up, carrying my tray of food, and I'm going to walk over to him and plant it next to him. And I'm gonna go like, sorry, breakfast didn't shape out, but a debt owed is a debt paid.
He kind of blinks up at you, kind of snaps out his daze a little bit. But Edward, the deal's a deal, and you said, I remember I said breakfast. You give me your breakfast.
Well,
Nothing.
when we got nothing, to give you nothing in return after that fantastic hand you played.
Oh, well.
You at least deserve something. You at least deserve something extra. You know what? And Edward will take a look at the tray, the offerings there. He'll grab like one part of it and leave the rest of it for Lester.
All right. So lunch today is basically heated up canned soup and kind of these dry, hard bread rolls. So you can kind of take your roll and get
He will take the hard roll and give the rest to Lester and like kind of give a comforting press of his hand on his shoulders, like, even if breakfast was nothing, that was a fantastic hand, a fantastic play. I feel it deserves something. So eat up, chum. I look forward to playing with you again.
Well, thank you, young man. You're just You're just going easy on me. Okay. It kind of takes the roll. I'll take the seat. And I will kindly give you a chance to get some back from me later today, eh?
And that's all I ask, a chance to redeem myself. You know, I have played many cards before outside this structure. But I have not seen an opponent quite like you, Lester. It is a joy to play with you, even when I lose and I lose up. But I'm able to enjoy the experience nonetheless. So enjoy your spoils. Fill up. It's been a hard day. And he spares a moment to look at his wounds.
It's kind of like the gray hairs are like starting to like crust on his skull.
Yeah. But you know what? Well learned.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll go easy on you the next time. You'll see. Don't worry about it.
I'd appreciate it. I'm still learning the game, and it's just I have yet to reach your level. But I'm learning every time we play.
Yeah, they said I couldn't win at cards without magic.
Who? The no guess may negate magic, but yet I see magic every time we play.
I still got the stuff. And
yeah, you still do.
The card comes in, it's like, hey, keep the line moving. And comes in like waving the baton.
Of course. Yeah. All right. Yeah, he will leave the food stuff, and he's going to kind of linger for a moment, even at the chance of angering a guard, to make sure that Lester gets it and none of his neighbors try to get at it.
There is definitely some folks eyeballing the Lester's plate. Now, granted, you guys are still somewhat sequestered. The casters, not to go on stereotypes too much, are less of a tough crowd than most of the offenders in this prison. Most of them are there for non-violent crimes or violence of a different nature. So there's definitely looks, but under the supervision of the guards, no one's stepping in to attempt to snatch the plate yet. And there is still that lingering tension, even as the siren's droning has stopped. The guards are all, the ones who are there are still on very much high alert, watching the prisoners' movements.
Got him. We would, if we're able, attempt to wrap. You said they were like hardtack biscuits?
They're not hardtack, they're just kind of old.
They're old. We would, Carmen would endeavor to keep at least a few of those as we're being maneuvered back to our lodgings.
Alright, so you're trying to covertly stash some food.
Yeah.
It's not going to have immediate consequences, but do try to make a stealth sleight of hand check to see
sure.
if anyone notices.
Fuck it. We have these resources for a reason. I'm going to use resources. And then...
Alright, yeah, heroic inspiration.
Where the hell are my
You're
goddamn...
human, you get to do
There
that
it is.
very often.
Yes.
Speaking of, I'll have to interact with that mechanic a bit more myself.
I know. I'm kind of liking it. So advantage.
Alright, so you got rolling with advantage, a 4.
Well, it's definitely
and
better than a 4.
12. And a 12 is not bad. It's not a bad roll at all. It's still like if you're going average of a 10. 12's not bad. Alright. So, you don't think anyone noticed? You just kind of covertly put a roll probably down your shirt again.
Yeah, no, we know how to do this.
Right.
Hopefully at least with the napkin this time. And would carry on in our merry way eating split pea soup.
Indeed. And y'all do not get to sit down and enjoy your meal very long before the warden himself and some other officers kind of burst into the room. After giving the cafeteria a cursory look over, Warden Cromwell strides to his table at the very end of the hall where the microphone is set up. He goes over, he pushes a button to turn it on. Residents of Morgato, before I can allow you to eat your meal in peace, I am afraid I have yet another upsetting announcement to make. Some of you might already be aware, I'm certain. After that upsetting incident that occurred in the recreations yard today when some of you lost hold of your tempers, well, during this incident, a member of the anti-arcane ward escaped from officer supervision. A Mr. Callum Byrne. Mr. Byrne is an incredibly dangerous individual, and he's not, I assure you, what he appears. He is a male halfling, in his 20s, capable of using illicit magic to transform his body and take on a number of dangerous forms. Should you see him or any suspicious animals within the facility, I urge you not to approach, but to alert your nearest officer. Your cooperation will, of course, be rewarded. However, given the circumstances, I'm afraid that all afternoon activities, save for supervised work activities and cell confinement, are restricted today. And rest assured, those responsible for today's upset are facing suitable punishment right now.
Grace, I have a
Yes.
question for you. I know he's speaking over a microphone, so a lot of his effects might be, if not modified, then mitigated, or at least changed in some way. Does he appear to have any genuine emotion about this being a bad thing?
Yeah, this is a vanilla insight roll, just, insight
Sure.
wisdom.
I am trying to click it and it's not doing anything. Love that for me.
Verb, you're just cursed. Alright.
Yeah, I am.
Speaking of
5.
Oh,
a
that's a
natural 1,
fucking
you're actually
now
insightful
on.
to visual, so
Yeah, yeah.
total of 5. Yeah, Carmen with that positive wisdom score.
Oh.
Paladin.
We tried to filter in a particular way, but unfortunately 5 or negative 1s or
Yeah.
minus 1s
Considering
Natural.
your order, it's very fitting that you are insightful.
do that.
The microphone, the current technology is kind of screechy as it comes over the speakers in the hall, covering up.
Might not even
kind
be
of
able to get a
inflections of his
good
voice.
sight on him.
He's kind of far away, so it's harder for you to read his body language. And you're very, very hungry. Let's not forget that. You're already applying some intense willpower on not devouring all of your food immediately. So all these factors go into play, and he sounds like Gareth Cromwell. You've heard this asshole's voice almost every day here. It sounds very much like himself right now. Which is to
Great.
say, self-assured, kind of amplifying or trying to display an authoritative kind of demeanor wherever he can.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Alright, and is there anything else you two would like to do during your meal? Now, I will say that you might not be able to get into contact with him, But you do see Koloth's cellmate, Hugh Gilt, is looking from across the tables, kind of giving you a significant look. You and Edward. He's kind
They
of
specified she would mouth in a way that she hopes he can see from his position tomorrow. They specified that we wouldn't be able to go anywhere else today. Theoretically, that might mean that they're willing to at least let us out, if not tomorrow, then the day after.
So, I'm going to get into that in a second. As residents of the fine facility of Morgato, every day you are allocated some fine opportunities of which to make use of your skills. Which is to say, there are certain downtime activities you can do as an inmate here. What he said specifically was non-work related activities were restricted.
For tomorrow. He specified
today.
for one day, which is what? Okay, for today. Got it.
At least for today. It might also be tomorrow. You're not sure yet. They probably aren't sure yet either.
Valid.
So he said non-work activity. There are some jobs you can be doing while you're during the afternoon. Specifically, there's the metalworks. And that is when the prisoners cannot spend their time stamping sheets of metal, and which is making parts for the Moldovan firearms manufacturer, which is a revenue source for the facility. And you guys, you do get paid, but not with money.
What do we get paid with?
You get paid with credits that you can use to spend on.
Oh, I love prison.
Like, you can use them to get yourself an extra pillow or a blanket. If your time wasn't restricted to work, you could use it to spend time. You can pay credits to go to the library, or you could use credits to work out in the recreations yard. And before the recent food shortage, you could use credits to buy extra snacks.
You could have used it to get more food.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's the metalworks. There will be some. There's cleaning. They use the prisoners to keep the facility clean. Sometimes you're made to do this as a punishment, but if not, you can do it to make yourself some credits. And then, depending on your relationship or how well you're liked by the nurses, you could work in the clinic, changing bed patterns and bed sheets for the dying prisoners, which will also net you some credits. You could opt to spend the rest of your day in your cell, which they said is not restricted. So you can kind of think about which you want to do for the day. Now,
For sure.
Keep in mind the metalworks is a very physically taxing. You're not using powered factory tools. You're kind of using cranks and stuff to do this. It is an exhausting work. It is basically it's an athletics check to see how well you keep up with it. But it does pay more credits than the other activities.
For my own knowledge, Creed got put in the pit, right? She kind of put a man in the
she is
ground.
absolutely in the pit.
Okay, just wanted to confirm that.
You're still not sure, but she might have killed a man today.
You know what? It's Creed. It's fine. It's not fine. But also, he was a fucking white supremacist, so kill him.
Human supremacist.
You're right.
We don't have any of that real world racism in this adventure. Just fantasy racism.
Human power. Human power.
All right. Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah, of course. All right. Anything else you guys want to do specifically during the lunch hour?
Hide my food.
I mean, Edward is going to make sure that his friend is able to enjoy the meal he is able to get. That's quite easy to do, as has been left with the role. He's able to just like RRR while keeping an eye on Lester Locks, make sure he gets his just dues. Edward is not strong. Edward is not physically imposing. But if someone tries to go against Lester Locks, Edward is going to stand up and get hurt trying to do something about that.
All right. Noted.
Outside of that, Edward is also going to try to earn credits to get library access.
Oh.
Very smart.
I think, given the general stress of the day, Carmen might do metalworking. I do want to ask, though, with regards to where she is seated versus where Edward is seated, did she see the situation going down between him and Locks? Or would she have any idea about that?
Is she keeping a specific eye on Edward?
She tried to, yeah.
And that would make sense.
I just don't know if it's even physically possible. Yeah.
I mean, you saw an exchange happen in the lunch line between the two. That's all.
That's actually even better. That's all I wanted to know.
But yeah, you're keeping on them, and you got good perception. So you saw some kind of exchange happen in the lunch line. They move on. You notice that with your insight perception that Edward seems to be keeping a close eye on his caster friend.
The old man who is decidedly weak and probably not capable of defending himself. Yeah.
Well, not with those, not with the restrictions.
Not with the manacles on.
That's for certain.
All right, thank you.
So, and Edward, he's here, as you might be kind of, keeping an eye on Lester Locks and kind of thinking over what your plans for this afternoon are going to be. A few corrections officers approach you. One that says, "Prisoner 354-252, you are requested at the warden's office."
Is that directed at Edward?
Yes.
Yeah, that is.
Sorry, that is your.
Oh.
That is your.
You are Callum.
Context, you have the numbers on your uniform, so it's.
That's
not
fair. There's only one string of numbers I've been kind of like kept in the back of my head, and that's the special prisoner.
Yeah.
When you don't remember your own numbers, but you remember the other guys.
He's gonna cast one side eye at Lester Locks, and then he's gonna look to you, Carmen, for a moment, and he's trying to draw your eye to Lester.
You would already see that Carmen's gaze is still on you. There's a blank glance, blank, another blank, and a nod.
Warden, of course, lead away.
And as you are being escorted upstairs, we will once again pivot as we pan down, down,
to
the
pit.
lowest levels of the facility. The areas that were once the dungeon of this fortress. We come back to Koloth in Maya. Last we left off, you were both escorted to your individual cells in the isolation ward. There in the cold, the damp, the dark, you can feel your ears popping. You feel like you're below sea level now. You can hear the sounds of the water crushing against the stones. The heavy iron doors are shut and latched behind you. You're not together. You're in individual cells. However, at this point in time, before we get into nightfall, I would like to ask what you will be doing during your isolation, how you might be getting ready to spend the night. I'm going to be upfront saying that these are purposely uncomfortable places to stay, and you will be needing to make a Constitution saving throw against exhaustion to not get level of exhaustion from the stay. So what preparations are you making, and what do you do with your time? Maya or Koloth?
Maya is just shouting about Ranger Rick.
Oh yes,
At this stage, she is completely narrating the whole plot to Ranger Rick in the Mines of Destiny. Play by play. Alright, she's given behind the scenes, everything she can think of.
Okay.
Once she finishes that, she's gonna move on to Ranger Rick and the Lizard Folk Lagoon.
Alright, so before you make it to the next movie, there's a very small slit on the door that's going to open. The guard's going to say, "Quiet! Shut up! Shut up! Don't make me come in there!" This is a female guardsman. You can see just the anger of her eyes through the slit from the shadow. The rest of her head is backlit from the lamps on the wall. Do you keep going?
We're shackled in here, right?
You're not shackled. There are shackles in there. You're not shackled at the moment. You're just left in a black, pitch dark cell with a wet, damp floor and nothing but a bucket. And you can't see, but you can feel around. There's some gross rubble and shit below you.
And then Ranger Rick pulled out his whip. And have you ever seen Ranger Rick do whip tricks? It's the most amazing thing. And she's really annoying about it.
All right, Maya, you're going to have your head beaten around a little bit. She's going to open the door. She's going to come in with her baton, and she's going to just... You could try to make her escape, but there are more guards present here. She's going to come and basically whip the baton at you.
She's definitely going to try and grab the baton.
Oh no.
She's not smart.
Okay. Let me see if I have the stats for guard here ready.
I have never been more vindicated by Carmen's desperate attempts to keep Maya out of the pit than in this exact moment.
Yeah.
Good roommate.
Alright, so what's going to happen is we're both going to get an attack off. And we're going to see what happens. So, this person is going to attack with their baton.
I mean, yeah, that's totally gonna hit.
Are you injured from the fight, by the way?
Oh, yeah.
Alright, well, let's see what happens. Alright, so
Okay.
you get cracked over the head very resoundingly, 6 bludgeoning, 1 lightning damage. This bitch has her baton on. She doesn't have to have it on, but she does right now. She cracks you over the head. Now go ahead and try to, unless you're down, go ahead and try to get it from her. All right. So, and was this in the pulse check? I believe it was. It in the pulse check? I believe it was.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it was athletics.
Ooh.
I'm gonna have to just come up with my own rules if you're gonna do this every fight.
I'm so sorry.
I understand. I understand the urge, right? You do everything you can. All right. So, despite the beating that you're getting, you fight back. You reach up, and it's still shocking you when you grab it. It's still on. There's like as you get your hands around it, and you pull it free from this corrections officer, and her eyes go wide. She calls, "Help! Help!" As several more rush in. I'm going to. It's not going to be a combat encounter. I'm going to kind of gloss over this because you're not in any position to fight unless you have some kind of way to like magically, like Callum, slip free into a spider, slip free somehow. They're just going to all pile in and restrain you. And they're going to basically shackle you to the wall.
Completely fair and deserved. As they shackle her to the wall, she's going to continue to narrate Ranger Rick movies. Unless she gets gagged.
Oh no!
I mean, considering the circumstances, one guy's gonna be like, "Hey, I haven't gotten to go see that picture show yet," and they're going to like gag you to stop you from spoiling more of the movie. When the officers has to like stop one from like trying to beat you more, you're very hurt at this point. You're very visually bruised up, and you're getting like a fat lip and like a big lump on your cheek here. There's kind of a restraint being shown by the officers, as it looks like probably because you're a younger woman, you don't look dangerous. You're just being super annoying, as they decidedly don't beat you to death, but they're very unhappy with you right now. Looks like fucking crazy ass. Fucking halvesy, he says. There's something not right with that girl. And you are shackled, gagged, and they leave you back alone in the dark. And some time passes that way. Your thoughts, your keen analysis of the plots to your favorite picture shows. And then you hear something scuttling in the corner of your cell. You feel something soft poking at your ankle where your prison uniform is drawn up and exposed to skin. Soft thing pokes at you, and then you feel these tiny little clawed feet climb on top of your leg. You actually have dark vision, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, your elven ancestry allows you to see, as you look down, a good friend of yours, none other than Simon the Rat. Little whiskers, like, kind of snout sniffing up at you, looking at you expectantly. Of course, you are got yourself into a bit of a bind, literally. So you're shackled and gagged. The rat looks at you with these big, beady black eyes.
Maya is going to kind of gesture towards the gag in her mouth.
Ooh, okay. Make an animal handling check. Rats are pretty smart. And you know this rat. You've talked to this rat. Let's see if this works. Ooh, natural 4 on the die for an 8. You kind of go, unless you kind of displaying your lack of speech to the rat. Simon skitters up your torso and begins poking around your uniform, sniffing. You can tell that he's looking for food. Pokes around, sniffling, looking to see if you got any crumbs on you, because of course this is your relationship. You take a little crumb, morsel of food, you call him up, you barter for information.
Maya's going to let out a very deep sigh and she's kind of going to move her leg a little bit further. And if Simon checks that pocket that she's moving her leg in, if he checks the pocket of the pants right there, he will find a small crumb of bread from the night before.
Alright, so you're not really allocated pockets on your uniforms for, some strange reason. They don't want you guys to have pockets, but you could have put it in your sock. For sure.
Sock will work. I was thinking more like she cut the seam.
Oh, okay. I like that. I like that too. You have your specific pocket that you made. We could also say, considering this is Maya, that you did that as the Simon. He kind of gets a hold of the crumb and eagerly gnaws it down. And then he crawls up, having been given the food he wants, he crawls up to your shoulder and kind of nestles next to you.
She's kind of going to gesture once again at the gag.
Alright, with the food bartering, I'll give you another roll at this. So yeah, go ahead and make another animal handling check. 13 on the die. 13.
Wow, much better than a fucking 4.
Yeah, now, you don't have any more bartering material at this point, but now that you've done that, kind of, the beady eyes kind of look at you, and you see, as you sometimes do see with these animals that you bond with, there's suddenly that spark of understanding as the yellow teeth come very close to your face and kind of grab a hold of that gag and slowly drag it out. You find yourself ungagged. What do you do?
I cast Speak with Animal.
Alright, what are the, I believe the component for that is the food. Anything else? Let's see, you're manacled. Do you need to use your hands?
It is verbal somatic.
Verbal and food. It's a little bit of a stretch to say that feeding him was part of the spell, but okay, for fun's sake, I'll say that you managed to do it. You're saying he got his morsel of food, and once the gag is out, you begin chanting the words to this animal who's now been charmed by the offer you gave it. Yeah.
Simon, I need you
learned
to
how to
go.
talk again.
I know. I'm very talented, Simon.
Good. Why did you come down here? Simon would come up to you.
Well, you know, I wanted a change of scenery, Simon.
You come see Simon's nest, yes? That why you come? You come see Simon's nest?
Where's your nest?
Down here. Kind of stares over and like scratches at a hole in the wall. Down here.
I don't think I'm gonna fit.
No. Then why you come? Why you come?
Because I took something I shouldn't have.
Oh. You take? It's fine. You have to be fast. You have to be sneaky when you take. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I wasn't fast enough. They took it back.
Yes. Good. You not get killed. Happy about that. More food?
You can get more food if you go. Do you remember where my cell is, Simon?
Yes. I was going to go visit you tonight, but you come here.
If you go up there, then the other person in the cell is going to go ahead and give you food. Maya just assumes that Simon does not remember Carmen's name.
Bigger one. With bright hair. Does not like Simon.
She likes you more than you think.
Okay.
But she definitely has more food for you. And if you see a spider,
Yes.
wag your tail at it or something. I don't know.
Oh, no. Not
No?
good.
Okay.
Spiders no good.
Okay.
They can
Spiders
bite.
no good? Okay. You know what? Completely understandable, Simon. Don't worry about
They
that.
make bad food.
They make bad food? I don't want you to eat this spider.
That okay.
No,
like
did
me.
you hear earlier? On the microphones, there was that loud noise.
Always
They were
loud
telling
noise up
everyone look
above.
for spider.
Loud noise up above and below.
Okay. You know what? That's completely fair, Simon. You wouldn't happen to be able to grab a key, would you, Simon?
Grab key. What's that?
Yeah, grab a key. She rustles the manacles, you know, to open this.
Bar, rock too thick for my teeth. Cannot.
No. It's something that you put inside. It opens it. She's kind of going to gesture with her hands at like the size of.
Okay, and you can try to describe it to the rat. Where would that be? Shiny
One of
thing.
the guards should have it. Maybe it'll be like
Oh no.
a couple of them. No?
No, Simon, no. Go to the big people. They will hurt Simon.
Yeah, that's fair, Simon. No, you're okay. Did you happen to hear anything interesting lately?
Interesting.
Yeah. Anything new?
Less food for Simon and for his nest mates. There's
How many nest mates do you have, Simon?
kind of clean snout. Lots. Fewer than there was. Less of us now. That's okay, cause Simon is getting bigger and can fight other rats for food now. Less rats to compete.
Simon,
Yes.
how often are you having to fight?
Fight for food.
Yeah.
Most nights.
Are we not feeding you well enough?
Good. Yes. Always can have more.
Okay.
Get big.
Could you check on the big fella in the other cell before you go up? Just let me know if he's all right.
Who? What?
He's kind of big. He's got teeth. Long hair.
Oh. What color? What smell like?
What smell like? Does he smell like gobshite?
How am I supposed to know what he smells like, Simon?
I mean, you've been around him.
Color. We were outside. Color. Kind of like me.
Yes. Yes. Nose of two-leggers. Always so weak. Simon can look around. Does not want to get hurt though. Especially now. Lots of sense of things. Dying. Blood. Predators are near.
Where's that coming from?
From the walls. And from below.
Below where we are?
Yes.
I thought this was as low as it went.
Why do you think that?
'Cause they call it the pit.
Funny name.
Why is it funny, Simon?
So too big to be pit.
Yeah, okay.
Gotta go into the walls to get good, tight nesting area. Gotta go into walls.
Just don't go into the one with the green lady. I think she'll eat you.
Oh, no. Do not go near the green ones.
Good.
Hi. Simon, go look. And then Simon, go get food later.
The red one will give you food.
One with the red top. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Skitter. Koloth. What are you up to? Not your first stay in the pit by any means.
No, which means that we are desperate for any kind of stimulation we can get. So the entirety of the play-by-play we get, Koloth hasn't actually seen any of these picture shows. So he spends that whole time with his back against his cell door listening. And when she starts getting beaten up, he considers making his own distraction to kind of spare her some of the heat. But he decides against it, as the action would be far too undignified. Instead, after that, he will alternate between doing light exercise and making sure he's moving through memorized holy texts in his head. So he's just kind of muttering to himself and working out just to stay sane. And when he's tired, he'll go to sleep. This is last time he was here, he was there for a month. So
God.
it's just about making sure that you stay centered and even, which thankfully he has training doing. So when he can stay calm, deep breaths, and he repeats to himself the words of Gozar and the promises of the first warlord and the duties of the hobgoblins and the duties of the bugbears and how the goblins serve in their turn and the way the world was made and conquered.
Alright, as you're going back again over these holy texts, these centering words, you're beginning to have that kind of same effect that being in this cell in the pit has given you in the past. It's kind of transposition of time and place. You begin to see the text as if it's before your eyes, even though you are in the dark, which you could probably see anyways because you're a hobgoblin. You begin to hear the voices of those in the halls of your family home. The sea reminds you of the sea back there as it presses against the fortress walls. And not before long, there is a skittering sound in the corner of your cell, and you see something is pushing itself through a gap between the stones, squeezing out to get to you. Not the first time you've been visited by a rat in these facilities. They tend to look for those who are too weak to fight back, often gnawing on toes. But this one... go ahead.
I was going to say that Koloth is aware, and the first rat that entered his cell back when he was new disgusted him, and he slew it where it stood.
Oh no.
But after the first week, he started to appreciate how they can break up the time, right?
Yeah.
Whether they're gross or not, the filth in the floors he became kind of inured to. So he's had an opportunity to adjust his center. Now he treats the rodent as the curiosity it is and does his best to coax it to stay, because any living thing that can provide some stimulus is better than being with yourself forever.
You kind of start making noises at the rat. You're not manacled at the moment. You can kind of lean forward towards it. Its beady eyes look up and meet your amber eyes. Kind of tilt its head, and then kind of snout, kind of twitching.
Koloth will take his hand, lay it flat, and then gently place it on the ground. Say, come, and kind of bring his fingers like this, and then lay flat.
Make it
to see if he could play with some
handling check.
This is not something he's good at.
Okay, 9 plus 1 is a 10. Alright, so the rat kind of jumps a little bit at your movements, but doesn't flee. It kind of just jumps and kind of stays back and just watches your hand.
Yeah, he freezes when it jumps.
Yeah. Looks back up at you. Twitch. Tilt.
I guess he tries to mirror the rat's behavior, so he does a big tilt.
And he gives it a feel. The shy squeaks. I'll be honest, I don't remember what Simon was supposed to do with you, which is fair.
He's just supposed
Simon
to check on
probably
Koloth.
doesn't remember what he's supposed to do with you either. he's going to kind of slowly, after sniffing a little bit, turn back around and squeeze back into the wall. It's not easy. The cell's a bit more tight, so he's kind of getting his little rodent hide squeezed into it.
That's a very singularly strange experience, right?
Yes.
For a rat to put itself in so much danger for so little gain. Just kind of hang out. Clearly it knows people. So Koloth is confused, but he kind of spends some time contemplating the nature of the rat.
Alright. And does that almost as that encounter kind of wraps up, you hear a shh of waves, and you see the water begins to trickle in through the stone. And that is where we will pivot. We are going to pivot back up to the main part of the facility, to the 3rd floor, where we left off with our druid Callum, who was ruffling through the warden's office when he hears footsteps coming, and that is when I believe you, Callum, opted to shapeshift back into your spider form.
Yeah, I cast Pass Without Trace and then shift into spider. I'll mark that spell off of my sheet.
Alright, and so Pass Without Trace, so that's 6 seconds.
If it's relevant, naturally stealthy, desk, maybe. If it.
Alright, let me put it this way. What is your passive perception? Because this would make sense. This would tell me how much time you have to prepare it before it being interrupted.
13.
Alright, so yeah. With a 13, you have, I would say, enough time for 1 round of actions and bonus actions and whatnot.
Great. Because Wild Shape is a bonus action. So cast a spell with an action and then bonus action into the spider.
Alright. And you have your movement, you could easily crawl into a crevice. I mean, mechanically, it would still say that you have to hide to be stealth.
Mm-hmm.
Which might become relevant in a second. However, immediately, someone entering your room would not be able to see or hear a spider that's in a cabinet. So I'm going to say that immediately you'd be safe. Now, granted, I wouldn't even ask for someone to roll stealth as spider normally under normal circumstances if they just thought you were a spider. But you do have an eyewitness who saw you turn into a spider. So if there's a chance that might be the exact thing that they would be looking for, would be a
totally
suspicious-looking spider. Now, there are spiders around the facility, a lot which are probably going to be squished very shortly, following this incident.
Unfortunate.
Yeah.
Unfortunate for them.
But we'll go back into a moment. You hear the footsteps. You know you have seconds to hide. You're able to kind of shove the cabinet you were rifling through shut. You call upon the ancient magic that you were taught, passed down through your ancestors. You shed your form and you take on a new one. You turn back into the spider. And you quickly skitter into a drawer. You will not be seen or heard immediately. There's a sound of jingling keys. The lock on the door is turned, and it is opened. And in steps the warden of this facility, Gareth Cromwell. From where you're at, you cannot see him. but you hear sound of footsteps around, and there is a sound of shuffling. You have another round to make your stealth check and try to find somewhere where you can hide, even as this person is rifling through the very drawers that you were just in.
Is this one of those desks that's like the drawers are like kind of there's like a little bit of gap between the actual like wall of the desk? You know how like the drawers like they come out and like you have to have that gap for like the mechanism that it slides in and out of.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is this like a desk like that?
Yeah, it is a desk like that. I mean, it's fairly old school, but yeah, there's gaps for the mechanisms
All right.
you can get through.
So what this hide action looks like is Callum is gonna try to get kind of into the guts of the desk, and then like kind of crawl up into like the top part, basically, like the gap between the drawer and the actual like physical surface of the desk, because spiders can climb freely on surfaces. So
So I'm gonna roll that you don't have pass without trace up, but you do roll with advantage because of the fact that you're in somewhere that a person cannot have access to.
all right, stealth. I believe that a spy skills are the same. Yeah, it's the same. Okay.
All right.
Okay, those are two very
Callum
different rolls.
Remains lucky today with another 17 on the die for a total of 21. So you are going to remain safe. It's very obvious to you by the sounds of the footsteps thudding around the room, the rustling of papers, and the doors being opened and shut. This person who's come in, they are clearly looking for an intruder. With a 21, you're going to stay safe for now. But you are pinned in a tight space while this is occurring to stay hidden. After about a minute of his searching, you kind of hear some. Actually, that's a very interesting point. Since you were going through his stuff, I'm gonna roll for him as well. This isn't to find you, this is to see what he notices. Alright, total of 18. You hear a sharp intake of breath, then a string of curses. God's Goltress fucking burning tits, damn it! And there's a thud on the desk. Your whole body is shaking as the wood reverberates from this hitting his fist. No, it's just a mistake. It's all just a mistake. Another mistake, a small one, and it will be corrected. Yes. And then, before too long after this, there is a knock on his door. He's like, "What is it?" Mr. Cromwell, the prisoner you asked to see. And that's when Edward
God damn it!
is going to be escorted into the warden's office. Let me bring up his portrait for you guys real quick.
All right.
Ruh-roh.
Ruh-roh, Raggy.
Warden Cromwell.
Oh God.
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 Male in his human male in his 40s, slicked back hair, the tight-fitting suit and tie. He, Edward, let's see, what's your insight as you're escorted in?
My passive insight is going to be 14.
All right. Edward, as you're escorted in, you see this flicker of this barely contained rage and frustration. Almost even a flicker of fear. But as he looks up from his desk, it all dissolves. He gives you his signature warm, tight-lipped smile. He's like, oh, well, of course. Thank you kindly. The person escorting you has their no-gas machine on him. You got just as please. Extra security won't be necessary here. This young man's already got his arms bound. If you don't mind, just leave the equipment outside at my door. They put the machine down.
It won't be necessary. Warden knows best.
Looks at you. Why, of course. Please. He opens the drawer without looking, kind of rifles through, pulls out a folder. Oh, of course. Mr. Edward Carter, right?
Oh, that is my name. Yes, you are correct and astute, Warden.
Have yourself a seat, young man, he says. Of course, you're a grown-ass adult, but...
He will readily... Yeah, he will readily take a seat. He's not going to chance anything here.
Thank you for coming and having a chat with me. Before we get started, I just want to be very clear. You are in no means in any trouble. So,
well, that is a welcomed revelation. But all the same, I mean, this is a welcome change of pace, all things considered. If there's anything I can do to help, you called for me specifically, so I imagine there's something you want from me specifically.
Well, of course. Now, you, by no means, not in any sort of trouble or any sort of pinch, but I'm certain you're aware that there's been a bit of how to do with your cellmate.
Callum, yes. Him turning into a spider and crawling up the wall, that was a surprise to me, as I imagine it was to you.
Oh, so it was a surprise to you, huh?
I mean, given our station, we spend a lot of time in the tower. We are not able to exactly reflexively show off our capabilities, as I'm sure you're aware, Warden.
Well, of course not.
I mean, the nature of which I've spoken with Callum is more of a personal, non-magical nature. I have very little knowledge of magic in general, so my conversations with him was more of a personal background nature. I was not aware what he was physically capable of.
All right, well, Edward, you will need to make a deception check.
Yeah,
I
I'm
know
lying.
you guys been talking.
Yeah, I'm lying. It's true.
All right, 15 for a total of 20. Very good. He kind of raises an eyebrow. Oh, I see. So this Mr. Byrne, of this time he spent in the cell, never really spoke to you about his capabilities then?
But he tried. It all kind of went over my head. I have very little, like, a cursory, educated knowledge when it comes to the arcane itself. Despite my own failings that led me to your fine establishment, Warden.
I see. He opens up a small folder and is looking through some paperwork. Yes, and according to your file, you were a first-time offender. No known prior capabilities of.
No, magic is not something I've learned or came into contact with in the traditional sense. I will admit, I am I am not without fault. I'll admit, alcohol, drugs. It's quite possible that I came into contact with something illicit that had unforeseen side effects, as were demonstrated in the night that I was apprehended.
You were in possession of was deemed to be an Amphrosion artifact. I see that now.
Yes, I know nothing. If you could look into my background, I have no background in regards to Amphrosion study or artifacts in and of itself.
Of course. Hey, son. No need to be so nervous. Like I said, you're not in any trouble. You've already been under trial. That's why you're here. That's all behind you now. And as far as I can tell from your file, you've been a model resident. How about I give you something to help you relax? He takes out a set of cigarette pack from his jacket pocket, flicks open.
You will readily say it's been some time. I mean, I'd be a fool to deny your graciousness, Warden. Please.
Well, of course. You kind of like with your manacled hat, kind of take it, the cigarette. He takes a silver lighter, kind of flicks it, lights it for you.
And he holds it up aloft with the manacles, yeah. And once it's lit, he will expertly, carefully put it in his mouth and kind of. That warden is a welcome.
Well,
That is.
I imagine so.
Yes. I mean, it comes to a great surprise to me that Callum escaped the way he did. I mean, if there's anything I can do, I imagine that's why you called me. If there's anything I can do to help, I am at your service. I mean, I want to serve my time so I can get out to the wider world. I have no desire to remain here any longer than I need to.
Indeed. And, of course, the subject of this meeting is, of course, on your cellmate, Mr. Byrne.
Yes.
You could perhaps be of help. Now, tell me,
yeah.
did Mr. Byrne ever mention or vocalize to you they had any aspirations to attempt an escape?
No, this is true. It's like he's not given any idea, any inclination of escape. It was very much just like casual talk. I mean, even those that I was able to talk to across the bars in the tower, no one talked of escape. It wasn't even in the realm of belief. But I mean, considering the gas, it went out in an instant. I'm not sure if he had anything to do with that incident. But when it went out, it seemed like it was more of a crime of opportunity.
That is what we've configured. Most unfortunate that, well, during was already a rather trying time that we should have such a terrible malfunction of such necessary equipment. Almost seems ordained or even planned.
Ordained or planned. I mean, if a prisoner was able to construct that scenario to happen, as it were, then, I mean, that would call into the entire function of this prison into question. But, I mean, that never occurred to me, because you, Warden, seem to have everything under control.
As you mention something about calling into question the function of the prison, there is this slight Of course. Well, given the restrictions that we've been facing, shortages of supplies, it's trying times for all of us, and I thank you for all of our cherished residents, those who are able to show restraint. Now, of course, we will need to make some corrections going forward and to see that such an incident does not happen again.
Of course. I mean, I understand that you are under a lot of stress and you need to pivot and adjust. And, you know, my heart goes out to you, Warden.
Why, thank you.
I'm sorry that things have become more troublesome as of late. If there's anything I can do to help alleviate that, and you know, it is a selfish notion, because like anything I can reduce my sentence, I will readily accept.
I see. Well, I thank you so much for that. And on that note, you've spent some time in Mr. Burns' presence. It looks like you've been interned in the same cell for about 4 months now. Perhaps you could give me some insights.
I'll try to provide what I can. I have shared a cell with the man for several months. We've spoken, for some time of a personal nature. But in regards to his magic, I need to emphasize, I know very little about his magic, or magic in general. I'm kind of a new head at all of this.
All right, son. Well, we can set the magic aside. I can see that you're not a scholar of that nature.
Not of that nature. I am of a scholar of sorts, but not of that specific nature.
Could you perhaps give me some insights on what Mr. Burns' goals might be? Is there anywhere you think he might be headed? Any place he might be trying to hide? I'm sure you spoke of personal matters, perhaps of his family. What do you think what do you think that he's after?
I mean, considering that he left in the way he did, I imagine he wants to escape the island. I'm not sure from my own experience, because I was from the mainland. I was brought here. I don't know where he would go to get off this island, but I imagine that is what he's after. I mean, we were all tried. He talked of his crimes on the mainland. And I'm sure you're aware of his own familial circumstances. He has reason to get off this rock and back to the city. So if you're looking for him, I venture I would look to the ports, if there are ports on this island. He is. He is he is a selfish man. I imagine if I was in his position, he would look to get off this island as fast as he can. Seek a ship, seeks a means to escape. Uh, Food stores are running low,
Of course.
but I imagine there's still transport to and from this place.
Well, of course, we do have the occasional shipment come in, as I'm sure you're aware.
Yes.
Now, let me ask you
But he may-
something there, son. Do you know how long this facility has been in operation?
I'll be honest, I know precious little about this facility and its history.
Kinda
I only-
leans forward, tenses his fingers. Well, this was hundreds of years ago, of course, when it was erected. But
Yeah.
as for this, since it's been under the control of the new Ambrosian government, it's been nigh 110 years.
That's quite a bit of history.
Of course. And in all that time, well, I'd like to ask you there's something. How many prisoners do you think have escaped?
I mean, considering what I've seen in the past few months and considering what I've heard, I'm going to say 0, Warden.
That is correct. Now, Mr. Byrne is not the first one to be making an attempt. It does happen occasion to occasion.
I imagine, especially with the ones in our particular section of the prison.
Of course. Now, the doors, they have a good head for stone buildings and infrastructure. They built this place to last, to stand. Morgato has a way of preventing escape. It simply does not happen. Sometimes prisoner makes it to sea. They do not survive.
All right, well, then, I mean, this is all just cursory. Then I hope.
Of course.
I mean, no one's escaped, so I imagine he will turn up in time.
I hope for your cellmate's sake. Sounds like you've gotten to know each other quite well. In a few months, you've been together. I hope for his sake that he does show up. He shows up alive and unharmed. He's not attempt to make that treacherous journey.
Well, if I am able to offer my own opinion,
Yes,
you
go
can
ahead.
cast it aside as well. I have, as long as I've known Callum, and this is a picture admittedly colored by a fellow cellmate. He is not a violent man, and I say that knowing what he's been incarcerated for. I heard him mauled a man while in his bare form.
That is correct.
Yes, he is not a violent man unless pressed, unless forced to defend himself. And I mean, and he is not suicidal by any means. But he is resourceful. He's skilled, but he's not suicidal, and he is not violent. So, this is all presumptuous of me, of course. He's no threat to you or any other staff here, unless given reason to.
Unless given reason to.
To defend himself. But as I understand it, you all intend to take him into custody without endangering his life, so I don't see that ever coming into play anyway. This is all... it's all conjecture. It's just passing conversation. Obviously, I do not know him as intimately as his own family or you all, who checked him in and are fully aware of his background and his criminal record. All I am made aware of is what he's told me.
Well, I do thank you for your insights, young man. I thank you for that.
I welcome the chance to exchange words with someone who is not a, a part of the system, in that way. It has been a pleasure to talk to you, Warden. To talk with someone who is not plugged into the system as we all are. Kind of gave me a moment of reprieve, a moment of that maybe I have a chance. Maybe I'm not as plugged into the system as I am.
Well, I am not entirely certain what you mean by that, but I will say, I think what you're trying to tell me is that you perhaps are not quite as, shall we say, given into the baser instincts as many of our other residents here, and it's true. You, under normal circumstances, would probably not have found yourself underneath my supervision here in Morgato. I am unfortunately left to pick up the slack here, left by us from the facilities over in the city. And I do apologize that you are being made to, well, share space with much more violent offenders than normal, those who willfully, purposefully would use their magical abilities to inflict harm on others. But you're correct, you are not like those other types, are you? You seem to be of upstanding, well, breeding. You seem to be a society man, and I'm certain in no time at all, if you continue the good behavior, well, you will find yourself back where you belong.
I've under your care and consideration, Warden, I've certainly gotten that impression, which is why I welcomed this summon to talk with someone from the outside, someone who knows what it means to be.
Now, Mr. Carter.
Yes.
It's been a pleasure having this chat with you. If anything else does come to your mind, please, I trust that you will not hesitate to come and, well, alert me immediately. Anything at all that you think might be pertinent to, well, the situation we find ourselves in.
Of course, I feel that we are of one mind in regards to what is developing on this in this prison. Am I to deliver? And he makes a point to kind of press his point. Am I to deliver if something does occur, something has happened? Am I to deliver this message to one of the guards?
If anything happens, if you remember something that might be pertinent, please let only our fine officers know. Have them escort you to me immediately.
Of course, I welcome that opportunity, and I thank you for that opportunity, Warden. It has been illuminating, this conversation. It's been certainly welcome, considering the company I've kept in the past few months.
Oh, well, of course, likewise, and he, puts a finger on the document folder, and as you imagine, your cooperation will be noted.
That is certainly what I'm counting on. Again, always a pleasure, Warden. I hope your day is well spent and well received.
He nods and goes out. All right, boys, you can take him. You are once again taken and escorted out. I do hope you're able to enjoy the rest of your afternoon, despite the circumstances.
I'm sure I will.
Alright. And Callum, who's privy to this entire conversation, anything that you do?
I have a question, actually. If I wait like 5 to 10 minutes after Edward leaves, what is the warden doing? Is he still searching through the desk, or is he talking to himself? Is he typing up a report? What's he getting into?
All right. So after Edward is escorted out, you hear a very heavy sigh coming from him. Then you hear the flick of his lighters, and you smell the smoke as another cigarette is lit. The scent of tobacco starts to permeate the office. After about 5 minutes, you hear him stand up and walk to the record player in the corner. It gets turned on. Walks back to the desk. You hear the chair scrape across the floor. Then you start to hear the tap, 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 tap of the typewriter.
Interesting.
What would
The
you
locked-
like to do?
The locked drawer. Does it have the same gaps between the wall? Could I maneuver inside of the desk into the locked drawer?
This is going to be tighter. It's kind of between the two drawers, and it is there's less of a gap to get through.
Fair. Okay. If that can't be done, then I'm gonna try. I'll wait another 10 minutes and see if he stops or goes for a bathroom break or anything. And if he doesn't, then I'm gonna try and sneak out of here.
All right. Let me look at the time. It's probably been about 30 minutes at this point.
Seems
I'm going
reasonable.
to give you another luck roll on my D100 to see. But this time, I'm gonna think about this because this is gonna have some profound consequences.
Certainly.
Yeah. All right. If I roll above an 80, then he will get up and leave.
Okay.
If I roll a say 20 or lower, there's going to be an event which you will find out. In between, he's probably going to be doing other activities in his office, depending. So let's roll. $18. Well, I said 20.
Oh no.
So guess what? You won't believe it. There's another knock on the door. There. There's a clack of his typewriter. He goes and calls, "What?" And hear an officer from the other side say, "Sir, I have her." Oh. One moment. He stands up, goes, turns off the record player. You hear him walk back to his desk. Hi, please come in. Privacy, please. You hear someone else be admitted into his office. You hear a voice. You have only heard this voice one time since being admitted to Morgato. She came and gave you a cursory examination when you were admitted. You hear someone say, "Warden, you requested my expertise." It is the voice of Dr. Lai Zitaru. You know that she is arcanist of sorts posted in the facility. Oh, yes, please, doctor, please. Have yourself a seat. Could I interest you in drink? Have some whiskey or a cigarette? And she goes, no. If you don't mind, I would like to get back to my work as soon as I can. Well, of course. You hear her sit down. You requested that I share with you my knowledge on the inmate who's escaped. If you don't mind. Yes. It's Callum Byrne. That one was the male halfling. What do you wish to know? Please, if you just give me a cursory summary of her abilities, doctor. Yes, well, I'll admit, if I did not have a lead on my more important work, I would have perhaps find him of passing interest. He is a shapeshifter of some capabilities, a bit curious. His abilities are strangely similar to that of the tribes of beast elves that live natively on this continent. Very similar. I have read Dr. Gal published a paper some years ago about these isolated populations of halflings who have some unusual arcane traditions. There seems to be some debate where they've learned them from. Some good amount of evidence that they might be capable of practicing spiritus magic, though it is unlikely that they are aware of what they are doing. Some scholars think they might have obtained this knowledge from the beast elves themselves, and others say that they learned it in the old world and took it with them when they migrated. It is a passing curiosity to me, not of any great interest. And of course, with these capabilities, those who are able to shapeshift, the beast elves call it skin changing. It is very possible that he could make himself very, very small. He could hide anywhere he liked, but of my knowledge, and this is not my area of expertise, Warden, but my knowledge says that it is limited by time. That to use this sort of magic to change one's physical form in this way, by using spiritus magic, it does not last, is not permanent. After some time, the magic will wear away naturally, and he will be forced to revert. It is only a matter of time. Is that what you wish to hear, Warden? Why, yes, thank you, Doctor. That is, well, that is the news that I hope to hear, more or less, and you reckon that he's dangerous. Well, to that I leave your own records and your own understanding. It is very likely, but it is not very sophisticated magic. Your men have weapons on them. They should be able to defend themselves. Thank you, Doctor. Anything else? And as he's saying that, she cuts him off. But since I have your attention, Warden, I must speak to you, a prisoner 277466. I'm afraid that the hypnotics he is on have made him rather weaker. He will be in need of more clinical attention. I hope you understand it is very important that he stays cognizant in order for my experiments to work. Dr. Zitaru, of course. I hope you understand that our supplies are limited, of course, but I will alert our medical staff. We'll send them on the way once we are able to. They are currently attending to some inmates who have been injured in another fight. Yes, of course. Now, may I leave now? If you bid it. With that, he dismisses her. And you hear her exit. Callum, and you can hear the ticking of a clock in your head.
Well, at this point, I don't think I have really many options other than to try to sneak out of the office. I think the way to do this that is the safest is probably to, when he is engrossed in a report, try to basically crawl underneath his chair and then up the wall behind him onto the ceiling, and then leave through the either a vent in this room or through a crack in the top of the door.
Okay. Go ahead and roll your stealth check.
Alright. Stealth time. Ruh-roh.
Alright, a 5 for a total of 9. The DC for this is rather low, given the circumstances. And perhaps this is because he is wary. Perhaps because these conversations have made him more aware of what to be on the lookout for. Specifically her mentioning of you being able to make yourself small and hide wherever you like. But you make it underneath him, you crawl across, you go up the wall, and now at the corner of his eye, he sees you. He turns. There's a moment of understanding as he sees you crawling away from him. He stands up and he's going to pick up, well, actually, he's going to take his waste some time getting his keys out and opening his locked drawer. That's going to give you a bit of time to try to find an escape route before the next thing happens.
Alright.
So, what are you going to do? And I'll try and give you a relevant roll.
As soon as it's clear that he's made Callum, it would be abundantly clear that the best thing he can possibly do right now is probably to make a break for it into either the nearest vent, or lacking one of those, or or like a crack in a window or something like that, rush the door and just try to get out of here before he can really like try to do some damage to me.
All right, Callum. Roll a perception check to get a quick look for your closest escape route. All right.
15.
12 on the die for a total of 15. You notice that he's got a window in his office that's cracked open.
All right. We'll make a dash for it. Trying as quickly as we can to get the fuck out of here.
All right. You spend your action to dash. You hear the door slide open. You hear the clinking of metal. You hear the cocking of a pistol. You run through the crack where the window's been open. You skitter out, and you feel the winds, the breeze of the outside air as you escape through. Then you hear the window open behind you. Above, you see his shadow peering over you. He takes aim. What do you do? There is a moment of hesitation.
Make a run for it.
You run?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to dodge
He's
Spider-Man? Do you want to dodge Spider-Man?
To be fair, he's one of those million miles per hour spiders, so...
Yeah, he's fast for a spider. Are you running up or down?
Down.
Alright. You're on the
Callum, I
main
have the
hall.
high
You're
ground.
running down. This is a very difficult shot because he's aiming down at a spider on a wall below him. Very hard to hit. I'm going to give you like 3/4 cover for this shot, but he's going to shoot.
All right. The AC is 16.
And there's a ping as it glances off of the wall. There's a small chunk of stone that rubble that falls. What do you do?
Try and get into another vent system. Like back into the main building. Let me read the description of the place real quick. So the main building, cafeteria, main hall, lower hall, main hall.
Away from active gunfire, good move.
So I have an approximate knowledge of the facility now after this change, right? Because I got
Yes.
the map.
Yeah, you do.
I'm gonna make for the library. It's in the main hall on the upper floor, so it
Yeah,
shouldn't be
that's
too
true.
far from here. And I might be able to find like a hidey hole somewhere in there. So yeah, skitter down the wall, back into an opening, and then I'm gonna make my way over, looking for somewhere to maybe hide in the library. Where a certain other party member might actually show up at some point. Yeah.
All right. So, because you have that approximate knowledge of the facility, I'll let you make a. You can do perception or investigation to figure out where to go next.
Okay. You said investigation or just
Perception.
investigation? Perception.
And you have advantage on the roll.
Sweet.
18 on the die, total of 21. You in that fleeing escape down the wall. He's a pling, the rebel falling. You, in your mind, conjure up the image that you saw of the map. You think about where to head next. With that knowledge, you go in that direction, and you see another entry point, another vent. You quickly scuttle into it. And now, Callum. Here is where you would expect maybe another siren to go off, maybe security personnel to flood into your location. And you wait. And you don't hear it. You don't hear it go off. Was the warden perhaps dismissing this incident? Thinking he was overthinking it? Was there another motivation for him to not report what happened? You're not sure. Moments pass. You feel like you might have just barely made it out. And that is when we are going to pivot again. Carmen, your afternoon after lunch has been mostly unremarkable, save for the security being even tighter than usual. What would you like to do?
I mean, I guess just do the metalwork.
Alright, you're going to work in the metalworks? Okay.
Sure.
So you're going to be working in the very hot, steamy kind of room. The smell of this is burning metal smell in there all the time from the heated up metal that's being stamped. It is grueling work. You're probably one of the ones better suited for it. Go ahead and make an athletics check to see how well you do today.
Sure. Eight.
All right. You're usually quite good at this job when you feel like doing it. Maybe it's because you expended your energy during the morning, or because even though you were fed, you're still quite hungry. But you are sweating, you are working, you're not stamping out the quota today.
Okay.
So because of that, you're going to make fewer credits than you would normally be paid. I'm gonna check my notes here. Blah. Metalworks. Alright. This will normally be paid out 2 credits per hour. You get to work about 4 hours, and you'll only be making half of that, so you get 4 credits. So go
where
ahead
would you
and note
like
that.
to record that? Or like, I'm not sure how even the trader barter system works here, so I guess I'll just put that in equipment.
Yeah, you can just note it. They're basically tickets that you are given. It's not real money. They're like paper tickets. You can use those in exchange to show that you've been working to get certain privileges.
Okay, sure. Alright, I got 4. Thanks.
Yeah, of course. And with that, is there anything else you would like to do during your afternoon? I will say, one other person who is in the metalworks today, who is struggling even worse than you are, who's clearly not very physically capable, is Hugh Gilt, Koloth's cellmate.
No. Oh, wait, why is Hugh here? Wait, I thought that was... I'm thinking Randall Hunt.
No, that's not Gilt. This is the private eye.
Hugh Gilt is best boy, and please be nice to him.
Poor guy.
Yeah, I mean... So she hasn't ever seen him here previously?
No, he's not usually. This isn't usually his normal routine. And he is clearly physically struggling to keep up.
Well, I mean, she's also tired. How far away is he from her position? Are they being, like, currently watched? I'm guessing they are, given the high...
Oh yeah, you are
Guard
definitely
security.
supervised, 100%. He seems to be like slowly as he's working, making his way towards you on purpose.
Okay. I mean, she'll attempt to get nearer to him if they're capable of doing so.
And
Haven't seen your face down here, stranger.
kind of like face just sweating. He looks over to you. He's like, gives you like this very put upon like smile. He's like, oh, that's not my usual haunt. No, yeah, you got that right, honey. It's kind of like he's trying to like work. Oh yeah. I'd like to keep it warm on.
Look to him, give a mild tilt of her head at Hun, and say, "What are you doing down here?"
Well, I been saving up creds to give myself a library visit, but library's closed today. Turns out.
How many creds do you need for a library visit?
Library is 5 credits. Spend the afternoon there.
There's a pause.
Like, working.
Momentary consideration. What do you need library creds for?
He stands up. He kind of wipes his excuse me there, darling. He wipes his like sweat on his sleeve. Looks over to the guard. The guard is kind of just gazing forward, looking very kind of bored. Looks over to you. No,
I don't tend to start shit unless you start causing problems.
Oh no, I'm not here to knock any heads. I can promise you that. Oh no, me and my pal, my cellmate, Mr. Koloth, we're having some discussions. He's unavailable today, as it were.
Imagine. Discussions about what? She says that she just brings down a press.
That's how that we are properly acquainted, you and I, and your cellmate, Miss Maya. The other two. Well, I was thinking.
You're trying to figure out what's going on here, then?
You're correct, and I might have. Looks into the guard. Looks to you. Trying to keep a low profile here, honey, but when they open the library, when you have a chance, do everything you can to get in. You
There's
know,
a pause.
all of us, we have some talking to do. You see?
There's a pause, and she'll look to him, kind of consider biting the inside of her cheek. I'm not going to get much use from the library. Tomorrow.
He reaches up his sleeve. He pulls out a stack of credits. A few I could lend you. Be a bit short. We're not going to be able to go today anyway, it looks like, but when we can.
Question, Grace. Does the library tend to have lower security? Is that what he's aiming for?
The library is a fairly lax place.
Okay.
Because the people who want to go to the library are not usually going there to start fights. Some people go there for entertainment. They've got they've got books that they can read. There's writing material. There's even some material to do some crafts.
Okay.
It's a more, because you have to pay to get in. You have to pay with with your work hours, credits to get in. It's not usually too busy. It's definitely the most pleasant part of the facility that you have access to. But if you want to kind of figure out what he's getting at, you can roll an insight check.
Yeah. Oh, now I roll high.
Natural 19 on the die, total of 23. Alright, let me think about this for a second. This is your first, real, one-on-one interaction with this individual.
Yes.
And you're struck by something about him. A lot of his mannerisms, the things he's doing, even though he's wiping his forehead and being sweating, exhausted, a lot of this strikes you as performative. There's something about this man. You think that he is a lot more keen, a lot more shrewd than he's giving off, is what strikes you about him. As he's talking about the library, you can tell he's trying very hard to guide you to his plan. There's kind of some notes of desperation there, of fear even. Mm-hmm. He seems to be very intent on getting you on board to this. It seems that there's something more than just the nightmare that he wants to share with you. There's something else he wants to talk to you about, but he's not feeling comfortable talking about it with you here.
Mm-hmm. There's a pause as she looks at him, even as she brings down the press once more, and she'll say, "Keep your credits for tomorrow. I'll have 4. Give a couple of few, depending on when Maya gets out. Hopefully a lot of us can come."
Fine, small. Let me just drop his portrait real quick. He kind of smiles at you. And then, thank you, darling. Looking forward to it. I know we're newly acquainted, but I appreciate your assistance.
There's a pause. Cock of the head, a smile. Single arm. Hits him on the back of the head. "Don't call me darling." And or not head, but back. And we'll bring down the press again.
Sorry, sorry, Miss Carmen. Sorry about that. You have to forgive the old habits of the Z Street resident.
That's one of the reasons why.
Actually, I should make you make this check before, but no, this is the best time since you're having interaction with guilt. Go ahead and roll a history check, but you have advantage, especially when you mention Z Street, because this is where you grew up when you were very young, before you got picked up by the church. So this is still kind of in your way in your history, but yeah.
Kind of cognizance. Yeah. Woo!
Oh jeez! All right, double 4s with advantage.
My God!
Happens.
All right, and you were a little bit removed from your roots, given what happened when you were young. So I guess that's fair. Something about.
That was 10 years ago.
I will say something about his name tickles the back of your mind.
Huh.
But you cannot put your finger on it. You can't quite nail it down.
Got it. Thanks.
Yeah, of course. Alright. And with that, and thank you all for your patience since everybody's all in different areas, but
Yeah.
Before we end the session, I want to pivot one more time.
By all means.
And this time we are going to go back to down below in the dungeons of Morgato, in the isolation ward, down in the pit, as the prisoners and the corrections officers like to call it. We go back to Koloth's cell. and Koloth. You have been left alone here for a while at this point. You are in the dark. The tide is coming in and salt water, briny, is trickling down into your cell from the cracks in the walls, seeping underneath you. It is ice cold water, shivering. Of course, you are a very disciplined individual. And you've been going through the rituals that you've gone through the past times that you've spent here. You're a veteran of the pit. Thinking of touching on your history, the doctrines you've been taught, reciting certain pledges that you've made when you were younger, the duties you have to your family, to your people, reminding yourself of what must be done. This kind of puts you into an almost trance-like state as you're doing this. Sometimes odd things occur when you are going through these motions. Sometimes you hear the voices of people from your past, from your family. It's not too unusual to you. However, this time, you begin to hear a voice other than your own reciting that is entirely unfamiliar to you. And you see, as you open up your eyes again. Oh, Koloth, do you have dark vision, by the way?
60 feet. So
oh, yes.
This is not a 60-foot cell. We've got, as long as there's some light, he can see all of it pretty well.
As you respond to this voice, this foreign tongue, it is not the language of Gozar. Neither is it the common tongue of the people who live here in this land. Do you know Dwarvish, by the way?
I do not believe so, but I'm happy to double check that. Very much no.
You hear a foreign tongue. Cannot place it. It sounds familiar, but also not familiar. Different than anything that you have heard before in your life thus far, even after interacting with all these different peoples. You look around your cell and you realize you indeed, despite all the facts of the matter and likelihood, you find that you are not alone. There is another figure huddled in the corner of your cell. They're holding themselves. They're squat, short, but broad. They're muttering to themselves, gods. You do not understand what the words they're saying. They appear to be Dwarven. They are also wearing armor, the kind that people don't usually wear these days. Boiled leather, a cap. They have a scraggly beard flowing down as they're rocking back and forth, holding himself.
Well, if I'm getting chanting in his cell, Koloth will stand up straight as full as he can, and I demand you cease. In I guess. Okay, it doesn't do anything.
There's some stop when you address this individual. And they look up at you. It's a very pale, very frightened face, and underneath their armored cat. You see a trickle of blood going down. They are wounded. They're looking at you, wide-eyed fear. They go silent. You see then, as you brush them, they're clutching close to them an axe.
If they're acknowledging Koloth and they have an axe, he is going to back himself to the door and begin pounding on it quite loudly. And if nobody responds immediately, he'll start anything he remembers from the Ranger Ralph thing earlier to try to get them to come back. He's like, guards, if you don't hurry, I'll say the thing about the Lizard Lagoon. Ranger Ralph.
Someone
Guards.
comes and pounds on your door saying, "Shut up, Hobby!
Look in the slit."
Quiet!" And this person starts. The person in your cell looks at you. They stay in the corner. They speak to you. Their voice sounds not aggressive but pleading. You hear one word over and over again. Garoti, Garoti.
What does garoti mean? Guard. Bang, bang, bang.
Garoti. He stands up. The figure stands up, holding the axe. Looks over his shoulder. Starts walking towards you.
Oh, that's not okay. Well, we're not gonna let a teleporting dwarf kill us. So, I guess Koloth is going to, I don't think he would lie. I think he would probably just, like, say, "There's something in here," and keep beating on the door.
The figure with an axe walks past you. They go to the door. They walk through it.
Oh. If we're just hallucinating, then that is a severely embarrassing thing that just happened.
There's another pound on the door and there's "Shut up!" from the other side. But
They didn't see the ghost, I'm guessing then, because they're on the other side of the door. It's just Koloth. It's just.
even as you find yourself alone again, you kind of can still smell the scent, the blood and gore. And then suddenly something, distinctly the smell of something rotting.
We're just hallucinating. So we're gonna go back to lance drills. Gotta ground ourselves again if we're hallucinating dwarves.
How loudly was Koloth repeating the dwarvish phrase?
As loudly as physically possible. He's bellowing. He's louder than me, due to being a gigantic preacher man and not a accountant.
Yeah,
So
you
Maya,
heard the echoes of that exchange. Not what anything that he heard from the dwarf, but the things he shouted.
Maya speaks dwarvish, so if he was repeating the dwarf, she might know what he's saying.
Oh, you do? Okay. For some reason, you hear the sound of Koloth yelling the word Garoti, Garoti. Well, probably in a more hobgoblin accent than that. And it's strange to you, because it doesn't sound quite right. It sounds distinctly dwarven to you, but it's a little bit off. You parse over to your head, it sounds kind of like either the word swallow or devour. And with that, we are going to end this session, the session.
You gotta
Stop
love it if
recording.
Dwarf says devour when we have a goddamn undead.
Yeah.
What you gonna do?
And that concludes the third session of our Arkenmore campaign. Tune in next week to find out what happens next, and thank you all for listening.